Hello again, and welcome back, all my favorite coder cats and coder kittens. As usual, this is Becca going by Netcats Meow most places online, and I am here again to spend another week talking with you about Linden scripting language. But first off, our announcements for this particular week. I have already recorded the first episode of a secondary Coder Kitty series, and am officially going to divide these between Coder Kitty's Workshop and Coder Kitty Decoded. The purposes of these two series, Coder Kitty's Workshop is what you're used to watching. It's going to stay the same. None of that's going to change. I'm going to keep going project by project, showing how to do specific things and using that as opportunities to highlight how to work with Linden scripting language. Coder Kitty Decoded is going to be a series of much shorter videos, taking inspiration from one of mine turning up in the Google search results, that is just going to take a simple look at the ins and outs, the syntax, and the functions of a single command or event handler or line of code or what have you. The purpose of those is going to be very different from the purpose of the workshop episodes. The decoded episodes are meant that you just pull up the one specifically related to whatever it is you're looking at the time, and you get a quick rundown on that. That's not a whole lot of education, not a whole lot of how-to, not a whole lot of the ins and outs, just here's what it does, here's how you do it, thank you, have fun, goodbye, welcome back next time. So they're more of a quick reference version for anybody that follows this. I'm going to give those a try. As far as my talk about doing the weekly nerd news, I am back from con and back from fumigating the house. So we did not use professionals. I'd used a series of off-the-shelf bug bombs, but that was over a number of days. Well, I had the opportunity to board my cat in my friend's RV. So I still have not sat down and figured out what was up with reading from my new phone's video into my editing program. I will get to that. I've just had a lot going on. So, all of that aside, last week I talked at length about the way different alpha settings will affect different things, especially if you're dealing with a mesh or a sculpt, or any object that combines a mesh and sculpt alongside regular prims. Because if you recall, I showed you how changing the way the alpha texture is handled can actually increase the effective prim count of a sculpt or mesh object. So this week, we're actually going to start building the requested control HUD for that. So the HUD part we're going to add on in a future episode. This week, we're going to start putting together the code to actually deal with changing the different alphas. And I will go ahead and give a link in the description to a freebie item on the marketplace, which you can use as just an alpha to texture in case you don't happen to have much convenient in your inventory. I will go ahead and use my own because I don't want to go through and make sure somebody is okay with me linking their product in my tutorial videos. So don't expect much in the way of this alpha texture. It's just going to be that simple, alien-looking code texture that I showed y'all last week. So we're going to start with the Mark I cube. Give me just a moment to put the appropriate texture inside. That one. All right. Now there are lines to easily go in and adjust the degree of transparency for an entire prim using llSetLinkAlpha, but to actually change the settings, we need to go back to our favorite llSetLinkPrimitiveParameters. You all should be familiar by this point with the wiki page for set primitive parameters. The reason that we're going to go through and use the set link primitive parameters but targeting it at this link is because the request was for a HUD system that would do this. So that suggests strongly that this is meant to incorporate more than just the one part in its overall construction. So we want a code that is going to be fully usable no matter how many different link numbers are involved in the final object. And it is under alpha mode. So easiest way to work with primitive parameters is just copy the relevant section directly in like so. Close that off. Now, with the alpha mode, you also are going to want to follow up and find the specifics, the names here: alpha mode none, alpha mode blend, alpha mode mask, and alpha mode emissive. These are the different, or the quick shortcut to the names for the different modes you can use. So you start out with, you're setting the prim alpha mode, integer face, all sides, alpha mode. As I've talked to you about before, you see that these have digits next to them, 0, 1, 2, and 3. And the alpha mode is asking for an integer. The reason that is because these are just constants. They always represent these numbers when used in context. It's the same way true and false are actually just numbers. They're 0 and 1, but it's easier for the person reading it to see true or false if you're dealing with a Boolean situation. So again, these are prim alpha mode none, alpha mode blend, so on and so forth. These are about making it easier for the human being looking at the script. So prim alpha mode blend, integer mask cutoff. We'll set that for 0 for now. And we're going to make a special command for blend mode. None. Mask. And emissive. And it describes emissive here. Diffuse texture pixels opacity maps to their emissivity when rendered. Fully opaque pixels will be rendered as full bright. So basically what that's saying is that you can use the alpha texture as a way to control how bright a given object will appear to be at a given time. So we're going to set this to, let's start it with emiss. In fact, since we're doing this manual at the moment, let's put it up here. Alright, that actually did show up exactly as originally anticipated, but it didn't set on those correctly. Let's see why. It's probably what I set as the link number. So let's see. Say 0, comma, string get link number. Yep, that was the problem. There. Now doing this by code should work just fine. So we're going to take it to masked. It doesn't show up anything transparent because the mask cutoff is 0. As you raise the mask cutoff, you see it starts to show more and more clarity. So here's where you'll actually get what your mask cutoff should be. We'll say 100. So for mask, this is the only place this particular value means anything. We'll set it for 100. So let's try none and blend. None. Just a solid thing because this is what the texture looks like with when you don't see through any of the transparency at all. Blend. This is the default way it's supposed to show up. And emis, where the stuff that was transparent is normal, responds normally, and the stuff that was transparent responds normally, and the stuff that you could see is now full bright. So we have now created a blend, none, mask, and emis option. The only thing that really has to change are which sides you want it to be on, which mode you want it to do, and what prim number. You could easily set this to trigger different modes for different faces and for different parts. I know I've covered this before, but I'm going to quickly remind you how to set this up. What is going on? Emissive mask. Shininess. Okay, it was just how the light was shining on it. That's all that we were facing off with. It's still in the right setting. In fact, you can see it better down there. We're going to go through and I'm going to remind you how to get the faces. I just showed you how to get the link number with a say on channel 0 that's open to chat, convert to string, get link number. You can put this in any of the parts you want and it will give that to you. You could then erase this line afterwards. And here we're going to do say 0, comma, parse to, cast to string, detected touch face. 0 because it is capable of detecting more than one click at a time, so you have to tell it the first one, which is 0. Face 2, face 3, face 5, face 0, face 4, face 1. If I were to plug one of these in there, face 1, to let us say blend. Instead of all sides, I put in 1, and then do the command blend. Now this part becomes face 1 becomes see-through, and the others remain as they were. So that is the short version of how do you actually set up control of these alpha settings by code. Next week, we'll go through and set the actual HUD unit for controlling this and set it up as an actual item of some sort. Probably show you how to turn it into a pair of goggles, since that's one of the only things I can think of that makes sense for having variable control over the alpha for you. Windows, goggles, something like that. So that's what we're going to build next week on Coder Kitty's Workshop. That, by the way, is this one, now that I have 2 Coder Kitty shows on this channel each week. Coder Kitty's Workshop is going to be the one you're experiencing right now, the one you're used to, where I go through and each project is a lesson, each lesson a project. Then I believe I mentioned earlier Coder Kitty Decoded, which will premiere this week, probably Wednesday. So that will be Coder Kitty's Workshop every Tuesday by noon Eastern Standard Time. Coder Kitty Decoded Wednesday by noon Eastern Standard Time. And then at some point I'll try to get weekly nerd news out on Thursdays. So, until then, to all of my favorite coder cats and coder kittens, much love. You are the best audience I could have. Don't forget our Discord server. Links to both playlists, the Discord server, and the texture we're working with will be in the description of this video. So, that's it for today. So, good day, good luck, good week, and happy coding. Meow meow.